So you've done it. You've got the microphone, the interface, all the powerful software. I mean, on paper, you have a studio. So why do your recordings still sound, well, a little bit like they were made in a home studio? You know that feeling, right? That nagging sense that something's missing, that professional shine is just out of reach? Well, that is exactly what we're going to tackle today. And this quote just hits it right on the head. This gap, it's like a sonic loop you get stuck in. You're endlessly tweaking, you're adding more plugins, second-guessing every move, but you never quite get to that sound you hear in your head. It is an incredibly frustrating place to be, and honestly, it's where a lot of really great music just gets given up on.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you've already invested in decent tools and the problem is still there, it's so easy to think, oh, I just need better tools. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The answer is almost always something way simpler and, thankfully, a whole lot cheaper. Okay, let's just break this down. We tend to blame the things we can buy, our gear, our plugin library, our budget. But the real culprits, the things that are actually holding your sound back, are your setup, your listening habits, and your workflow. And the best part? You can fix all of these right now without spending another single dollar.
First up, let's talk about the physical world around you. These are the mistakes that can totally sabotage your sound before you even think about pressing that record button. And we're going to start with the biggest one of all.
The number one mistake, hands down, is pretending your room doesn't exist. See, your room is not neutral. It is actively messing with every single sound you record and every sound you mix. Those bare walls, they're like mirrors for sound, creating harsh, nasty reflections. The corners, they're building a bass like crazy. Your untreated space is basically lying to your ears 24/7. But look, you don't need a pro studio. The goal isn't perfection, it's honesty. You just need an honest sound. So tame those reflections with a thick blanket behind the singer. Use your couch or even an open closet full of clothes to soak up some of that sound. Move your chair around and find the sweet spot in your room where the bass sounds the most even. These totally free fixes create a much more honest listening environment, and that is the foundation for everything else.
All right, next up, mic placement. Here's the thing you have to understand. A microphone does not hear the way your ears do. Your brain is amazing. It filters out all kinds of sonic junk. But a microphone? Oh, it's merciless. It captures every single reflection, every bit of boominess, every harsh frequency with brutal, unflinching precision. The solution here is all about inches, not feet. Seriously, just moving a mic slightly off the center of a guitar speaker can tame all that fizz. For vocals, angling the mic just a few degrees can get rid of those harsh S sounds and plosives. You know, those big pops of air from P and B sounds? The point is, don't just set it and forget it. Get in there and experiment. Oh man, this is a classic habit held over from the old days of analog tape. People were so afraid of hiss that they recorded everything as loud as possible. In the digital world, this is a total disaster. Recording too hot just flattens your dynamics and completely crushes your transients before you've even started mixing. You're literally throwing away musical information that you can never, ever get back. So here's the key. Aim for your peaks, the loudest parts, to hit around -10 decibels. That's it. This healthy level gives you plenty of headroom, it preserves the natural life of the performance, and it makes mixing a fun, creative process instead of a damage control session. Your modern interface is clean enough. Trust it. All right, part 2 is all about listening habits. We've fixed the physical space, we've got a clean signal coming in. Now let's talk about the most important tool in your entire studio, your ears, and just how easily they can be tricked. Monitoring really loud feels great, doesn't it? Everything sounds punchier, fuller, way more exciting. But it is a trap. See, your ears naturally compress loud sounds, which means you'll end up making mixed decisions, like turning the bass way down, that only work at that super high volume. And then when you go listen in the car, your mix just completely falls apart. The solution is simple: consistency. Find a moderate, kind of conversational volume. Let's call that your truth level. And do about 80% of your work there. Then, for a minute, turn it up for a vibe check, just to feel the energy. And then turn it way, way down for a balance check. If you can still hear everything clearly when it's quiet, your mix is going to sound good pretty much anywhere. So let me ask you a question. Visual tools are amazing, right? We have spectrum analyzers and these gorgeous EQ curves. But are you letting those visuals make your mix decisions for you? Are you mixing what you see on the screen instead of what you actually hear? The fix is so simple, but it does take some discipline. Close your eyes.
tweak an EQ knob. Does it actually sound better, or does the curve just look more correct? You gotta use your visual tools to confirm what your ears are telling you, not the other way around. Your ears should always, always have the final say. Okay, for our final section, we're gonna move beyond the technical stuff and get into the psychological side of things. These are the workflow and mindset traps that can sabotage even the most talented artists out there. Come on, we all love plugins, but overusing them is often a sign of insecurity, not creativity. When a track just isn't working, it's so tempting to just keep stacking on more and more processing, hoping for some kind of magic fix. But here's the hard truth. A plugin can only polish what's already there. It can't invent something from nothing, and it just leads to these lifeless, overprocessed tracks. Before you reach for any plugin, I want you to ask yourself this one simple question. If you can't answer it clearly, like, I'm trying to control the harshness in the cymbals, then just don't add anything yet. This single question forces you to have intention, and it stops you from just slapping on processors out of pure habit. Now here are two massive mindset traps. First, technology cannot invent emotion. A pitch-perfect vocal with zero feeling is just a correct-sounding robot. The performance is everything. And second, constantly switching your software or your plugins just means you're always a beginner. Mastery comes from sticking with your tools long enough that they become invisible. This right here is probably the fastest way to absolutely destroy your confidence. You take your raw, unedited vocal track and you compare it to a fully produced, mixed and mastered commercial hit song. It's an impossible standard. You're basically comparing a little sapling to a giant skyscraper and then wondering why you feel so small. The disciplined, professional approach is to compare like with like. Compare your rough mix to somebody else's rough mix. Compare your raw vocal to another raw vocal. This gives you a realistic benchmark, it lets you see your actual progress, and most importantly, it keeps your motivation alive. So that brings us to the final and probably the biggest myth of all, this idea that professional studios are hiding some secret trick or some magic piece of gear that you just don't have. Well, they aren't. See, the secret isn't a thing you can buy. It's a behavior. It's what we can call professional control. It's about understanding their room, placing mics with intention, monitoring at a consistent volume, and committing to decisions. It's control over the basic variables. And every single one of those things is available to you right now in your home studio. So in the end, it all just comes down to this. The barrier to getting professional-sounding recordings isn't your gear or your budget anymore. You have the tools. The real question is, are you willing to build the discipline to use them effectively? Because that is the real gap between a home studio and a studio that just happens to be at home.